Welcome to CBS This Morning, but of course we're going to begin with that debate. The top Democratic candidates for president had their most brutal, and brutal is a word, encounter of the campaign last night in Las Vegas. Contenders brought new urgency to the NBC News debate, and the new man on stage, Mike Bloomberg, was the biggest target.
The billionaire ex-Republican was grilled on his record as New York's mayor and his behavior as a business leader. Some of his answers brought even more criticism. Nikole Killion is in Las Vegas. She covered the debate. Nikole, what are we hearing from Bloomberg's campaign in the aftermath of the debate?
Well, Anthony, some of Bloomberg's aides admit it wasn't his strongest showing, considering this was his first debate in about a decade. But overall, the campaign is pleased with his performance and said he's just warming up.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
Fight night in Vegas started in the opening round with Michael Bloomberg in the center of the ring.
I don't think you look at Donald Trump and say, we need someone richer in the White House.
Mr. Bloomberg had policies in New York City of stop and frisk, which went after African-American and Latino people in an outrageous way.
The former New York City mayor said he was embarrassed about the outcome of the controversial policing policy.
It got out of control. And when I discovered that we were doing too many stop and frisks, we cut 95% of it out.
He figured out it was a bad idea after we sent in monitors and said it must stop. Even then, he continued the policy.
Bloomberg, who has largely averted face-to-face scrutiny, was also asked about allegations of sexual harassment at his company.
I have no tolerance for the kind of behavior that the Me Too movement has exposed. In my company, lots and lots of women have big responsibilities. They get paid exactly the same as men.
I hope you heard what his defense was. I've been nice to some women.
And was pressed about whether he would release former employees from non-disclosure agreements.
We have a very few non-disclosure agreements.
How many is
Let me
that?
finish.
How many is that?
None of them accuse me of doing anything other than maybe they didn't like the joke I told. And let me point. There's agreements between two parties that wanted to keep it quiet.
You could release them from that immediately, because understand, this is not just a question of the mayor's character. This is also a question about electability. We are not going to beat Donald Trump with a man who has who knows how many non-disclosure agreements and the drip, drip, drip of stories of women saying they have been harassed and discriminated against. That's not what we do as Democrats.
Bloomberg also dueled with current frontrunner Bernie Sanders.
The best-known socialist in the country happens to be a millionaire with 3 houses. What did I miss here?
Well, you'll miss that I work in Washington, House 1.
That's the first problem.
Live in Burlington, House 2.
That's good.
And like thousands of other Vermonters, I do have a summer camp. Forgive me for that. Where is your home? Which tax haven do you have your home?
New York City.
Former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg pitched himself as the moderate choice.
We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out.
Senator Elizabeth Warren had the most speaking time last night with her fiery attacks on all of the candidates. Her campaign said she had the best debate day of her campaign, raising more than $2.5 million. Gayle?
That's what you call a good night for Elizabeth Warren. Nikole, thank you very much.